For my individual case study, I analyzed the legal, medical, and ethical case that is Theresa Schiavo, with the overarching question being, is it ethical to decide if another human being should undergo euthanasia when they are not of sound mind or ability? Today we'll look at the health and status of Theresa Schiavo, what a living will and healthcare power of attorney is, the legal battle and decisions that went in this case, analyze codes in question, run it through deontological ethics to see if it was an ethical decision, provide potential objections, and conclude with references at the end. So who was Theresa Schiavo? Theresa Schiavo was a young woman in her 30s from Florida who suffered from a heart attack that led to brain damage. This led to the need for artificial assistance, which is water and nutrients provided through a percutaneous endoscopic gastronomy tube that leads directly into your stomach, intestines, and veins. She also suffered from a persistent and vegetative state where she had no cognitive function or speech. She essentially just had a pulse. So this led to the question of, should she be euthanized, which is a withdrawal of artificial assistance. And courts and scholars have determined that it is legal to refuse the right to life-sustaining treatment, and this can be made through a healthcare power of attorney or a living will. A living will is a documentation made by a person when you're in sound mind, so it is you currently saying, this, if I'm ever in a situation, this is what I want done, and it will be done. A healthcare power of attorney is you putting someone in charge to make those decisions for you if you're ever in a state of incompetency. Well, Theresa Schiavo, being a young woman, did not have this prepared yet, so if you have neither one, once you enter a state of incompetency, someone will be deemed your legal guardian, it being a parent or a spouse typically. In Theresa Schiavo's case, her husband was named with no contest from her parents. However, this led to a legal battle, as Michael Schiavo wanted to remove the artificial assistance, essentially euthanasia. He said this is what his wife would have wanted. She would not want to suffer or prolong the living when she's not really living. The Schindlers, Terry's parents, wanted to revoke Michael as the legal guardian because they wanted to reorder the insertion of the tube because they believed there was a chance of recovery. They did not want the euthanasia to happen. They went back and forth for 4 years of legal battle, and the tube was removed and reinserted a total of 2 times. But it finally was removed. The courts deemed it legal, and Theresa Schiavo was announced dead. So now we're going to go back to our question of, was it ethical for Michael to decide if Theresa should undergo euthanasia when she was not of sound mind or ability? First, we need to look at the codes in question. So there is a Uniform Guardianship and Protective Proceedings Act, which is exactly what happened with Theresa Schiavo. She did not have the documentation of a living will or a healthcare power of attorney, so her husband was deemed her guardian to make those decisions for her. Also in the state of Florida, they have a law saying that in the absence of a living will, the person, whether it be in a power of attorney or in a living will, can have the decision to withdraw the life support, so it's legal. And it also says, well, in all states, suicide or assisted suicide is illegal. So in Florida, they all have a specific law, Statute 765, that says that withdrawal of life assistance does not constitute suicide, so it's legal. So following deontological ethics, in order to be ethical, you need to follow a set of rules, no exceptions, and rules distinguish right from wrong. The context here is Theresa Schiavo had no documentation, no living will, no healthcare POA. So Michael Schiavo was deemed her legal guardian because she was incompetent and there was no objection of her parents. That's legal. He had the right to make his choices in regards to her death as he was deemed her guardian. He also had the right to withdraw her artificial assistance according to the aforementioned statute. And assisted suicide is illegal, however, However, the removal of artificial assistance does not constitute suicide. And the court sided with Michael on all decisions. So, as Michael adhered to all laws, regulations, as aforementioned, and followed all of the rules and guidelines set up by the state of Florida and the United States, his decision would be ethical. Some potential objections to that argument is that from an ethics of care standpoint, Michael had an obligated relationship to his wife and her wishes, and he thought and truly believed that his wife would want to end the prolonging. So his decision would be ethical by removing her artificial assistance, as he was respecting her wishes, he was respecting that obligation to that relationship. The second potential objection is from a utilitarian standpoint. To be ethical, it needs to be the greatest good for the greatest number of people. By removing his wife from artificial assistance, it upset and angered and created this whole legal battle between him and his in-laws, and it left them dissatisfied. Therefore, it was unethical because he wasn't looking out for everyone. He looked out for himself and his wife, and there was the family to think about as well. So, to conclude, Theresa Schiavo had no legal documentation for her well being in case of an incident. She entered a persistent and vegetative state where her husband was legally deemed to be her guardian, and he followed all laws, procedures, and court rulings. Therefore, under deontological ethics, he was out. And here are my references. Thank you.